A taxi driver in Greece just retired his Mercedes diesel after 2.9 million miles. That's 116 trips around Earth on the same engine that's never been rebuilt. In Germany, a Volvo sits in a museum with 3 million miles documented. And somewhere in Africa, a Toyota Land Cruiser is still running after being shot at, set on fire, and driven off a cliff twice. Today, we're counting down 12 cars with engines so overbuilt they can last 1 million miles. And number one, it's literally still running after the Top Gear torture test. Let's start. Number 12, Honda Accord, 1998 to 2002. A delivery driver in California just crossed 1 million miles in his 2000 Honda Accord. Not a typo. 1 million miles. Original engine, never rebuilt, still runs perfectly. When journalists asked Honda engineers how this was possible, they reportedly said, "We're honestly not sure. We designed it for $300,000. The Honda Accord with the 2.3-liter F23A1 engine represents peak Japanese engineering philosophy. Build it so well that warranty claims become embarrassing. Honda engineers in the 1990s would apparently lose sleep over minor imperfections, resulting in an engine that refused to acknowledge it was supposed to die. This wasn't a high-tech marvel. No fancy variable valve timing, no turbochargers, no complexity. Just 4 cylinders, VTEC that actually worked, and engineering tolerances so tight that mechanics joked about needing Swiss watchmaker tools to measure them. The timing belt was the only thing that ever needed replacement, and even that lasted 100,000 plus miles. The secret? Honda over-designed every component by roughly 300%. Piston rings tested to 500,000 cycles when 100,000 was standard. Bearings rated for double the engine's torque output. Cooling systems designed for Death Valley while towing when most Accords never towed anything heavier than groceries. In Cuba, where cars must survive forever because replacements don't exist, mechanics call the F23A1 engine El Inmortal, the immortal one. There are documented cases of these engines hitting 600,000 miles on nothing but oil changes and one timing belt. These cost $18,000 to $24,000 new. Today worth $3,000 to $8,000 with 150,000 to 250,000 miles. But they're just getting started. Why keep it? The engine will outlast 3 modern cars. Period. Speaking of Japanese immortality, number 11, Toyota Camry, 1997 to 2001. There's a taxi driver in Kuwait who bought a 1998 Toyota Camry, brand new for taxi service. That was 26 years ago. The car now has 1.2 million miles. Original engine, original transmission, never rebuilt, still passing emissions. The taxi licensing authority demanded proof because they thought he was lying. The Toyota Camry with the 5SFE 2.2-liter 4-cylinder represents what happens when Japanese engineers decide reliability isn't a feature, it's a religion. This engine was so overbuilt that Toyota engineers probably felt guilty about how easy their job was. This wasn't exciting. 0 to 60 took 9 seconds on a good day with a tailwind, but excitement kills engines. The 5SFE was designed with one mandate: run forever on the cheapest gas available while being maintained by people who think check engine light means engine is working. The engineering was agricultural, cast iron block, simple port fuel injection, timing belt instead of chain, but even that lasted 100,000 miles without complaint. The cooling system was over-designed by roughly 200% because Toyota engineers apparently assumed owners would drive through deserts while never checking coolant. Mechanics hate these engines because Camry owners rarely visit. When a timing belt replacement at 100,000 miles is your biggest maintenance expense in 15 years, you're not keeping mechanics' kids in college. In developing nations where mechanics fix everything, the 5SFE is considered boring because it never breaks. When the most exciting repair is replacing valve cover gaskets at 200,000 miles, you've created something special. These cost $18,000 to $22,000 new. Today, $2,000 to $6,000 with high mileage. Why keep it? Because boring means bulletproof, but some engines aren't boring. Number 10, BMW M50e M52, inline 6, 1990 to 2000. A mechanic in Germany specializes in high-mileage BMWs. His personal car? A 1995 BMW 325i with 847,000 miles on the original M50 engine. When people ask why he doesn't rebuild it, he says, why? It still makes full compression. The BMW M50 and M52 inline 6 engines represent the last time BMW built engines for longevity instead of performance charts and marketing numbers. These These motors were so fundamentally sound that they regularly hit 400,000 plus miles, while modern BMW turbos grenade at 80,000. This was pure mechanical engineering. Simple Vanos variable valve timing that actually worked. Timing chain instead of belt that lasted 200,000 plus miles. Aluminum block with Nikasil cylinder linings until US gas quality issues forced BMW to iron sleeves, which somehow made them even more durable. The secret was German over-engineering before accountants ruined it. Every bearing rated for double the stress. Oil pumps designed for race applications. Cooling systems that could handle Autobahn speeds indefinitely without overheating. These engines became legendary in the tuning community, not for power, but for taking abuse. People would boost them, track them, and generally beat them mercilessly, and they'd keep running. A stock M52 making 189 horsepower was boring. The same engine at 300,000 miles still making 189 horsepower? That's legendary. In Eastern Europe, where BMWs run forever because replacements are expensive, the M50/M52 cars are prized above newer models. A 1998 328i with 250,000 miles is worth more than a 2010 with 100,000 because people know. Why keep it? The last BMW engine built to last instead of impress. Now, if you're enjoying this, hit that subscribe button. Number 9. Lexus UZ-FEV8, 1989 to 1997. Toyota spent over $400 million developing the UZ-FEV8 for the original Lexus LS400. When they were done, they'd created an engine so over-engineered that it made Mercedes engineers jealous and BMW engineers question their life choices. A Saudi Arabian taxi company runs LS400s to 600,000 plus miles, then sells them to private buyers who drive them another 300,000. Original engines, never rebuilt, still whisper quiet, still smooth as turbines. The one UZ-FE wasn't just good, it was obsessive perfection disguised as an engine. Toyota tested these motors to destruction repeatedly, then redesigned components that failed after 500,000 simulated miles. The result? An engine that barely noticed highway speeds, could idle for days without overheating, and refused to make noise under any circumstances. The engineering was insane. Pistons and rods forged instead of cast, bearings that could handle twice the engine's torque, timing belt that lasted 100,000 miles, then was replaced with a timing chain in later versions that lasted forever. This engine is so quiet at idle that owners would leave it running in parking lots and forget. It's so smooth that passengers in the back seat would fall asleep on highway drives. And it's so reliable that 3 million miles is the current documented record in a Greek taxi that's still running. Mechanics hate working on these because there's nothing to fix. When your biggest repair in 300,000 miles is alternator and water pump, you've created something special. Why keep it? Toyota built this engine to embarrass every luxury brand. It worked. Speaking of embarrassing the competition, number 8, Mercedes-Benz OM617 diesel, 1974 to 1985. In Morocco, there's a Mercedes diesel taxi with 2.9 million miles. Not kilometers, miles. That's 116 trips around Earth on an engine that's never been apart. When automotive journalists flew to Morocco to verify this, Mercedes engineers came too. They wanted to study their own engine to figure out how. The Mercedes OM617 diesel isn't just reliable, it's agricultural equipment disguised as automotive engineering. This 5-cylinder diesel was designed for applications where failure meant bankruptcy, then installed in luxury cars where it ran at quarter throttle for its entire life. These engines were so under stress that highway cruising felt like asking a sumo wrestler to lift a coffee cup. The fuel system was mechanical Bosch injection. No computers, no electronics, no complexity. Just precision German engineering timed with micrometer accuracy. The secret? Mercedes lost money on every W123 diesel they built because the engineering costs were economically insane. They tested these engines by running them without oil until they seized, then redesigned them to last longer. They used twice the necessary materials in critical areas because accountants were apparently on vacation. In Greece, a 1981 240D taxi just retired at 1.8 million miles. The engine still makes full compression, still doesn't smoke. The owner sold it to a collector who's driving it daily, expecting another 500,000 miles. These engines became the gold standard for longevity. When modern diesel engineers study durability, they study the OM617. It's literally an engineering engineering textbooks as the example of how to build an immortal engine. Why keep it? Because replacement would be downgrade. Coming in at number 7, Ford 300 Inline 6, 1965 to 1996. There's a Ford F-150 in Texas with 1.1 million miles on the original 300 Inline 6. The owner is a rancher who uses it daily for work. When asked when he'll rebuild the engine, he laughed and said, "Why would I insult it like that?" The Ford 300 Inline 6, also called the 4.9-liter, represents American truck engineering at its absolute peak. This wasn't sophisticated. This was tractor technology installed in pickup trucks where it ran forever on nothing but oil changes and the occasional prayer. Ford built this engine from 1965 to 1996. 31 years with minimal changes because when you achieve perfection, you don't mess with it. 7 main bearings when 4 would suffice. Cast iron block and head thick enough to stop bullets. Cooling system designed for Death Valley while towing the moon. The secret was massive displacement running at low RPM. This engine made peak torque at 2,000 RPM and redlined at 4,000, meaning it spent its entire life barely working. Highway speeds felt like warm-up exercises. Construction companies, plumbers, electricians, and contractors worshiped this engine. When your business depends on your truck starting every morning and never leaving you stranded, you bought the 300 Inline 6. These engines regularly hit 400,000 to 600,000 miles with basic maintenance. The only reason Ford discontinued it? Modern emissions regulations and fuel economy standards. The engine itself never failed. Regulations killed it. Many owners still won't sell their 300-powered trucks because modern replacements don't last as long. Why keep it? American iron that refuses to die. But some diesels are even tougher. Number 6, Cummins 12-valve, 5.9 liters, 1989 to 1998. A trucker in Wyoming has a 1994 Dodge Ram with a 12-valve Cummins. Current mileage, 1.3 million. Original engine, never apart, still makes full power. He's on his 5th transmission. The Dodge transmissions can't handle what the Cummins can deliver. The Cummins 12-valve 5.9-liter diesel isn't just an engine. It's a mechanical religion with cult-like following and documented miracles of longevity. This engine was rated for 1 million miles in commercial applications. Then Dodge stuffed it in pickup trucks where it was massively understressed. This was pure mechanical injection. A Bosch P7100 injection pump with no electronics, no computers, just precision German fuel delivery mated to American diesel torque. You could run these on filtered vegetable oil and they didn't care. The engineering was agricultural. Cast iron block, forged internals, direct injection that was bulletproof. These engines made 175 to 215 horsepower stock, but could be modified to 500 plus horsepower and still last 500,000 miles. Here's the running joke. The 12-valve Cummins is immortal. The Dodge truck around it is disposable. Owners rebuild transmissions 3, 4, 5 times while the engine never stops. When the truck rusts apart around the engine, they transplant the Cummins into a newer truck. There are documented cases of these engines hitting 700,000 to 900,000 miles on original internals. Some have passed 1 million. When something finally fails, the parts are cheap and the engine is simple enough to rebuild in a driveway. Why keep it? Diesel perfection that modern emissions destroyed. Coming in at number 5. Number 5, Chevrolet small block 350 V8, 1967 to 2002. A Chevy dealership mechanic in Michigan has worked there 42 years. He's never, not once, rebuilt a properly maintained 350 small block for wear. Crashes, yes, neglect, constantly. But a 350 that got oil changes and didn't overheat, those run forever. The Chevrolet 350 small block V8 represents the most successful engine ever designed. GM built over 100 million of them across 35 years because when you achieve mechanical perfection, you mass produce it until regulations make you stop. This engine was absurdly simple. 2 valves per cylinder, pushrod design from the 1950s, and no technology that could fail. But the engineering was brilliant. Deep skirt block for rigidity, 4-bolt main bearings on performance versions, and cooling systems that work. The secret was massive production volume, creating perfect reliability. When you build 100 million of something, every weak point gets discovered and fixed. By the 1990s, the 350 was essentially perfected. It ran 300,000 to 400,000 miles with basic maintenance. Fleet vehicles, police cars, taxis, ambulances, work trucks. Anyone who needed reliability bought 350-powered vehicles. These engines could be rebuilt anywhere with parts from any auto store for under $2,000, making them economically immortal. There are Suburban and Silverado trucks with 500,000-plus miles on original 350S still working daily. The engine doesn't care. It was designed to run at 2,000 revolutions per minute forever. Highway speeds don't even register as work. Why keep it? Most proven engine ever mass-produced, but Japanese diesel engineering took it further. Number 4. Toyota 1HZ Diesel Inline 6, 1990 to 2001. The United Nations has a vehicle procurement policy. For operations in hostile environments, they buy Toyota Land Cruisers with 1HZ diesel engines. Why? Because in 20 years of UN operations, these engines have a failure rate approaching 0. And when you're in a war zone, 0 is the only acceptable number. The Toyota 1HZ Diesel Inline 6 was engineered for applications where the nearest mechanic was 500 miles away across terrain that would make mountain goats nervous. This wasn't automotive engineering. This was survival equipment disguised as an engine. This engine was massively understressed, 4.2 liters, making only 130 horsepower with diesel torque that could pull buildings. Toyota designed it to run on questionable fuel in extreme temperatures while being maintained by people with basic tools and unlimited determination. The engineering was obsessive. Direct injection so simple it could be repaired with hand tools, mechanical fuel delivery with no electronics, cooling system designed to work in Sahara Desert conditions. These engines idle all day in 120 degrees Fahrenheit heat without overheating. In Australia, Land Cruisers with 1HZ engines routinely hit 500,000 plus miles while crossing outback terrain. In Africa, they run humanitarian missions for decades. In South America, they work in conditions that destroy modern vehicles in months. There are documented examples of 1HZ engines crossing 600,000 miles with maintenance consisting of oil changes and occasionally hitting things with hammers. When something breaks, you fix it with available materials because the design is that simple. Why keep it? Diesel simplicity meets Japanese perfectionism. Coming in at number 3. Number 3, Volvo B230F 2.3 liter, inline 4, 1985 to 1993. In Sweden, there's a Volvo 240 in a museum with 3 million miles. 3 million. On the original B230F engine. The owner was a traveling salesman who drove 200,000 miles per year for 15 years. Volvo engineers studied the car to figure out how their engine survived what should have been impossible. The Volvo B230F represents Swedish engineering philosophy. Make everything 3 times stronger than necessary, then add more metal for safety. This engine was so overbuilt that Volvo tested them by running without oil until they seized, then redesigned them to last longer. This wasn't complicated. 4 cylinders, single overhead cam, simple fuel injection. But every component was engineered with obsessive attention to durability. Forged crankshaft, oversized bearings, timing belt that lasted 70,000 miles when competitors lasted 30,000. The secret was understressing every component. The engine made 114 horsepower from 2.3 liters, pathetically weak by modern standards. But that meant highway cruising at 65 miles per hour used only 30% engine capacity. The engine was barely working its entire life. In America's college towns, Portland, Berkeley, Burlington, beat-up 240S with 300,000 plus miles are common. These cars are political statements on wheels, rejection of planned obsolescence, and proof that simple engineering outlasts complicated technology. Mechanics report these engines getting more reliable with age, as if they're just getting warmed up at 200,000 miles. Oil consumption decreases after break-in. Compression stays stable past 300,000 miles. Why keep it? Swedish proof that simple beats complicated. Coming in at number 2. Number 2, Honda D-Series, 1984 to 2005. A Philippine taxi operator runs a fleet of Honda Civics with D-Series engines. His oldest taxi has 1.6 million miles. Original engine, never rebuilt, still passes emissions testing. When Honda Philippines heard about this, they sent engineers to verify. They couldn't believe their own engine survived. The Honda D-Series engines, D15 and D16 variants, represent peak Honda philosophy. Build it so well that warranty claims become embarrassing. These tiny 4 cylinders made barely 100 horsepower, but ran forever on nothing but oil changes and hope. This was engineering obsession. Piston rings tested to 500,000 cycles, bearings rated for double the torque output, timing belts lasting 100,000 miles. Honda engineers would apparently lose sleep over minor imperfections, resulting in engines that refused to acknowledge they should die. The secret was massive understress. These engines made peak power at 6,000 revolutions per minute, but spent their lives at 2,500 revolutions, per minute on highways. They were barely working. Highway cruising was essentially engine break-in that lasted 300,000 miles. In Southeast Asia, where cars run until they literally disintegrate, D-Series Hondas are everywhere. Mechanics call them forever engines because they've witnessed them survive conditions that kill military vehicles. When something finally breaks at 400,000 miles, parts are everywhere and repairs cost pennies. In Cuba, where replacement parts don't exist, D-Series Civics keep running with maintenance consisting of oil changes and occasionally hitting things. These engines are so simple that backyard mechanics can rebuild them with basic tools. Why keep it? Honda's greatest achievement in reliability. And at number one, Toyota 22R, 22RE, 1981 to 1995. BBC's Top Gear tried to destroy a Toyota Hilux with a 22R engine. They drowned it in the ocean, set it on fire, dropped it from a crane, hit it with a wrecking ball, placed it on a building, then demolished the building. After all that torture, they cleaned the spark plugs and it started. That truck is now in a museum, still runs. The Toyota 22R and 22RE engines represent the ultimate in mechanical immortality. These four cylinders weren't powerful. They made barely 100 horsepower, but they were engineered for conditions where failure meant death, and the nearest mechanic was weeks away by donkey. Toyota's Kaizen philosophy, continuous improvement taken to psychotic levels, created engines that simply would not die. Every weak point discovered in testing resulted in redesign. Every warranty claim was treated like personal insult to the engineer who designed that part. The engineering was agricultural. Cast iron block, simple port fuel injection, timing chain that lasted 300,000 plus miles. These engines were designed to run on terrible fuel in extreme temperatures while being maintained by people who think check oil means check if oil exists. In war zones worldwide, 22R-powered vehicles became the unofficial choice because they never stopped. Shot at? Keep running. Engine compartment on fire? Put it out. Keep going. Roll down mountain? Flip it over. Drive away. There are documented cases of 22R engines hitting 500,000 to 700,000 miles on original internals. Some have passed 1 million. That Top Gear truck is proof. Nothing kills the 22R. Why keep it? The most reliable engine ever built. Period. Those are 12 cars with engines that can last 1 million miles. Which one shocked you? Drop comments below. These engines prove something modern manufacturers forgot. Simplicity beats complexity. Over-engineering beats cost-cutting, and building it right once beats planned obsolescence. If you own one of these 12 cars, never sell it. Modern replacements won't last half as long. These engines are mechanical immortality. Treasure them. Subscribe for more automotive truth, and remember, they really don't make them like they used to.